Good afternoon, this is Atmospheric Alex here, back with another tropical weather update and discussion. I know, we all thought that hurricane season was over, but not quite yet. Well, that is exactly why I have came back. I am going to try and upload as frequently as possible, as this could be quite the serious situation for portions of Cuba there, maybe the Yucatan Peninsula, and especially Florida need to keep their eyes glued to the forecast. And hey, even after that, we might have the chance for some cooler air to maybe usher in. No promises yet, though, as the pattern's gonna get complicated. So the very first thing I want to show you is the National Hurricane Center's 7-day tropical weather outlook, which, as you can see, we do have a red area that has formed up. We have a 90% chance of formation within the next 7 days for this system. This is the one we're going to be watching. This is the one that could end up marching off to the northwest here and potentially pose a threat for Florida. Now, we're going to start things off a little differently, and we're going to look at our geopotential height. And you're probably thinking, Alex, what on earth does that mean? You know, I'm only here to see what the hurricane's going to do, and well, you need to know where this is going to go, firstly, right? So your geopotential height is basically your temperature in your upper levels. So, you know, some of your orange colors here indicate more stable conditions, warmer conditions in the upper levels. That can sometimes translate now to the lower levels, not all the time. And then in your blue colors here, this is your cooler, sometimes cooler, but mostly more active weather. This is where you'll find lower pressures as well. So as we take through time on the GFS model, we're going to begin to see some rumblings down here. Look at that. We have our system down here. This will likely be named Sara. Yeah, she is going to make her way through the Caribbean, really going slowly, rapidly intensifying, possibly into a hurricane by the time we get into Sunday, maybe even a major hurricane already. And what you're going to begin to notice here, if we just wind back a little bit to this frame here, well, we have, look at this, a lot of calmer weather up here, warmer weather. This is kind of acting as a ridge of high pressure, if you will. And flow pattern, basically, around these is coming through like this. So Sara down here is going to have a lot of trouble booking it off to the northwest. And what you're about to see here is that very thing happening. You can see as this ridge builds more over the southeast into the Ohio Valley, Sara is going to likely start moving more and more westward before making a sharp curve off to the north. This only happens when this ridge begins to abate and break down. As you can see, it's a lot smaller now, and look at her just racing up into the Gulf. You can see your next incoming trough here of low pressure. Flow pattern around that is generally like this, and it'll kind of be nudging Sara off to the northeast here in due time. You take a look at that, boom, next Wednesday we could have landfall on Florida, possibly. And then Sara gets kind of just ripped to shreds as this gargantuan area of low pressure, this gigantic cutoff trough, begins to really intensify here across the southeast. And yeah, we're going to get into that later on. There's no way it's going to be that strong, though. At least I don't think so as of now. Well, we just looked at what was going on way up there, but now we're going to bring it back down to the surface here and look at what's going on down here. Well, we're going to look at our GFS again. Here's your precipitation chart, and you can see by the time we get into Friday, we have tropical genesis ongoing down here. Rapid intensification with Sara just exploding out there. Look at that, 937 millibars. This would likely be a major hurricane by Sunday night if this was an accurate model. We don't know that yet, right? We're going to look through so many more. This races off, actually shoots the gap here between the Yucatan Peninsula and portions of western Cuba. Look at that, racing off there to the northeast, making quite a thunderous landfall here just to the south of Tampa, almost on Fort Myers, as a Category 3 to 4 hurricane. Just please be careful, though. Again, this is one model. This is not what you need to be trusting completely. And then all this nonsense down here. What the nonsense? That we're not seeing that. That's ridiculous. No way we're getting snow all the way down in Louisiana. I'll show you later on how crazy it looks on the models. Now, for your Canadian model, you could see your energy. Look at this, though. All right. I want to note your energy goes really far off to the west here. A lot further to the west than it probably should. And look at that. It slams right into the Yucatan and then kind of fizzles out, right? You might have a weak tropical depression going into Florida if that happens. And that is a saving grace. We want this to interact with the land before it goes into the Gulf. Yeah, I know those people who might live there don't like me saying that, especially the areas that got ravaged by Raphael just recently that I probably should have made updates on. I do apologize for that, but the areas within there, they don't want to hear that information, right? But if we don't want this to be a tragedy for Florida, then we need something to happen before Florida, such as land interaction. Now for your NavGem, your Navy model, we're going to speed through this rapid intensification. So you really have two camps here. Camp 1, rapid intensification in the Caribbean. It's going to move really slowly, mill around, and then is going to get ejected off to the northeast into the state of Florida. Camp 2. This thing goes a lot further to the west than forecasted at a much faster rate and really just dies out over the Yucatan, tries to redevelop a little bit as it moves off to the northeast, bringing minimal impacts. Well, the NavGem is in Camp 1. That is a very strong, very major hurricane there on approach to Fort Myers. I just wish we had more clarity on the situation. And we're going to speed through our European model. We all know it's going to show Camp 2. It's going to crash and burn, probably not even form. Just don't even look at the model ahead of you. Nothing's going to happen. Oh my gosh. Whoa. And this model's going out for lunch, I see. European model, Category 4. This model, let me just tell you, has been atrocious this hurricane season. Not accurate at all. It's been underdoing these systems. But the last one of the season, it throws a Category 4 scenario. And again, just be very cautious. Since the European model is showing it, I would definitely put more stock into it, and I would really stay aware. Now, it does do something weird, kind of sharply curves right off to the east into Cuba. I'm not really buying that as of now. It's still on the cards, though, for sure. And it just dies out as it runs over the rest of Cuba, bringing impacts to the areas that got struck by Raphael there. Now, with all that jargon aside, I'll probably cut out a couple of those models from the final video, because let's be honest, not all those are really all that accurate. But you want to know what it is? The EPS, the European Prediction System, the ensemble here. This is your wind shear map. Now, I would like to note, look at this setup we've got going here, right? Strong area of wind shear off to the north, ripping through the Gulf. You could say the same thing down to the south. But look at this really calm area in the middle, right? Sara is about to be located under a ULAC, otherwise known as an upper-level anticyclone. Now, this could be a bit of an issue. I mean, you want shear to rip this thing apart, and especially if it stays under this anticyclone, even the ensemble here shows a tropical storm. That's crazy to have a mean of a tropical storm 108 hours out, but yeah, very calm area there, no wind shear. It sits right in the middle of it, and you're going to get a lot of turning, a lot of like that. And it's going to spin up really fast and consolidate quickly as well. That is what we're seeing here. Again, you have both sides moving opposite directions. That is going to constrict the system and cause it to spin really, really fast. Okay? So again, rapid intensification is on the table. Wow, look at this. 168 hours out, we're talking Monday. There is no wind shear to be found basically anywhere near this system anymore, and that is concerning. The last time we saw a wind shear map like this was definitely during Helene, and I really don't want to bring that up ever again. There's still people in North Carolina who are struggling out there. Still people who have not gotten the recovery that they've needed, not gotten the help that they've needed. They've had to rely on their locals for all this mess. So, wishing the best of their recovery, of their rebuilding efforts. Hopefully, nothing like that ever happens again. It was hard to watch. It really was. And luckily, this will not be heading to North Carolina. That's the great news. But you can see here, as it does start to head up towards Florida, finally wind shear begins to really get at this thing and tries to shred it apart. We'll just have to wait and see, though. About your moisture content. Well, we have a lot of it. Oh, look at this. Gosh, you have just a gigantic pocket here of abundant moisture over future Sara. This is ridiculous. And all this is going to do is just help it intensify further and further. You do have, I will say, quite a big trough that comes in from the north here. You can see lots of dry air streaming southward at a rapid rate towards Sara, but because of how tightly packed it is, because of how cocooned it is in nature, it likely won't affect it. It'll actually push it off to the south even more. It won't even get dragged into it at all, unfortunately. And you can see this moisture pocket tries to rebuild itself, regain consciousness as it heads off to the north. And it will help out the system on approach to Florida, or just to the south of Florida, no doubt about that. And just because we have to at this point, let's take a look at our ocean heat content here. And it's still ridiculous. 160 units where this is going. Alright, this is basically September right here on average. This is your average August to September, October time frame. Well, you know, what month is it? Let me just check my notes again. Can't be too late in the season, right? I mean, it would have to be maybe October 15th. But, I mean, let's just see, right? It doesn't hurt looking through and just trying to see our analysis here. November 15th? What? Gosh. Yeah. This season's still breaking records at the moment, and it's about to surpass 2023 in ocean heat content for November standards. This is outrageous. And yeah, with this environment, just pretend like it's September all over again and prepare like it is. So now we're going to take a look at just one more thing. Here is your European ensemble here with all your different members here in play with your pressure. And you can see, most certainly, we will likely be seeing development by at least Friday or Saturday with upcoming Sara here. And we'll also want to note just how many of these members show rapid intensification. Take a look at this. We got here all your millibars starting with 9, 60, 54, 50, 56, 64, 62, 69, 46. Wow. 62. Yeah, there are a lot that show this becoming a major hurricane by the time we get into probably Monday or Tuesday. And just take a look at all those 50s, all those 40s there. I would even a 30 in there too. This is all moving quickly off to the north. You could see some loose agreement here. It becomes a little more uncertain because some of your tracks go off like that. Some of them kind of fizzle like that. And then your other ones, yeah, they go straight into Florida. And that, I would say, is the vast majority. So we do, in fact, have some agreement on this level. And now for the last part of the video where we take a look at our upcoming pattern change. This is from the GFS model. You can see it is summertime still in the southeast. This is absolutely ridiculous at this point. And then you can see kind of just staying mild across the board. This is insane. it doesn't even feel like fall out there yet. You see really nice temperatures across the board going into, Thursday morning here. Also, we look at your wind barbs. We do have a bit of a weather system pushing through, a bit of a low pressure system here, which could bring some strong mountain winds. We'll have to wait and see. Areas in the mountains and the foothills, and maybe even gap flow prone locations, specifically just off the mountains, could see sporadic strong to possibly damaging wind gusts out of this. We'll just have to wait and see. I might even be included in that. I don't know. I think it'll go off to the east anyways. And you can just see here temperatures staying super duper warm across the board. Going back down to summer here across the southeast. Going into next Monday here. There's Sara down there. Look at that, making landfall in Florida possibly. And wow, big old cool down. Look at that. Just temperatures getting down below freezing across most of the plains here. Continuing off further to the south as we head into next Thursday. Friday, oh gosh, we're going to stop it here into next Friday morning. Big ol' plunge of Arctic air. Just take a look at that. A lot of areas getting below freezing here from this, and a lot of areas staying in the 30s. Very windy conditions, especially across the plains. This is just one model, so be very cautious, with this. General consensus is, I would say about 10 days from now, we'll see a pretty big cold front sweep through much of the western U.S., central U.S., I'm not so sure about the eastern U.S. We'll wait on that for now. Your precipitation map with this goes as follows here. We're just going to kind of speed through this here. There's Sara. Goodness gracious, that's crazy. And a big time snowstorm across, Missouri, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, even Arkansas there. What the nonsense. Even into Louisiana, into most of the southeast. Nope. I wouldn't trust this if I were you. Just know, big cool down coming up soon. Fall will finally arrive for the majority of the country. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. If you did enjoy, please feel free to smash the like button and subscribe to my little corner of the weather community. Also hit the bell notification icon so you know when I upload my next video on future Sara down here. Whatever she decides to do, if she takes this purple and pink arrow here, I'm not responsible for it, okay? It's not a prediction right here. It's just a possible path. As always, feel free to share this with friends and family or on social media, and I will see you all later on. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.